Welcome to Nerd Church. We left off with you landing safely on the shore of the mainland for all of you, your first trip to the mainland. And you arrived in the seaside town of Salt March Landing. Town is a bit of a stretch maybe for this. So this is really just a functional port with a single tavern and inn and a small group of residential huts and shacks and such where the dock workers who can't afford to live in a real town gather. You have spent the night in the only inn and tavern, a somewhat run-down but large inn called the Beached Kraken, run by a half-elf innkeeper who introduces himself as Restic Ovani. Restic puts you up in some decent rooms for which you have already paid. And we will pick up as you bed down for the night. If anybody has anything they want to talk about or do overnight, I would welcome that now. Otherwise, we can jump right ahead to dawn of the next day.
So then Pod will do what I described just a moment ago. He's going to start tinkering with the small homunculus servant known as Exocomp. And when we all wake up the next morning, we will have the Exocomp Mark II.
All right, nice.
Air would like to put one of the platinum pieces in her puzzle box.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens. If anything, maybe nothing happens.
Let me check here. Yeah. All right, you place a platinum piece in the puzzle box, and a very familiar experience. The box grows briefly warm, and the next time you shake it, there's nothing rattling inside.
Nice.
All right, well, with that, then, we will proceed to the next morning. When you awaken, it is kind of a dull, drizzly sort of day. There's an early, heavy sea fog coming in off the coast, and it's condensing just enough to give everything a light soaking outside. The Beached Kraken does not have the level of breakfast delight that you have become accustomed to from the Scratching Post. Most of what is on offer here are like the fantasy equivalents of the grab-and-go bag at a Hampton Inn or something. There's some hardtack, some dried fruit, kind of just thrown out there in small burlap sacks for the taking. When you step outside, you see all of Salt March Landing laid before you, which essentially amounts to this large building you just left, a bunch of little huts, and the central stable where all of the wagons are tied up and the horses and oxen and such that pull them. That is the most likely place where you're going to find your cargo, which was meant to be set up for you last night. It was unloaded overnight from the Anastasia and onto a wagon. So if you want to head over there, you can find your crew. All right.
Well, I think we do that, right?
I would agree.
Yes, agreed.
All right. So when you head over there, there are quite a few wagons being loaded and unloaded, 6 or 7 perhaps at a glance, but only one looks ready to roll out immediately, and it's recognizable to you right away that it is stacked high with the boxes that you spent guarding from the Anastasia, so you recognize your cargo. It's all managed to be kept on one single wagon, piled high and drawn by 2 large oxen. There is a sort of older looking charcoal gray with streaks of white in his fur, tabaxi, sitting up in the wagon box with the reins in hand. He's got kind of a droopy straw hat on through which his ears poke out. There's little holes cut in the straw hat for his ears. He's got the reins in one paw and sort of a switch in the other that he's sort of nervously twitching over the heads of the oxen. And as you walk up, he sees you kind of making eye contact, and he calls out to you. You'd be the escort then?
That's us.
Yep, that's us.
I was wondering when we were going to get rolling. By the way, it's only shortly after dawn at this point. You guys were up fairly early.
Yeah.
But he...
Air tips her hat. I need to incorporate that.
Oh yeah, you gotta use the hat.
Typical hat.
He does not hop off of the wagon, but he does look down and tip his hat back, and he says,
Street cred.
he kind of nods at all four of you, and he says, "The name's Marks. Will be."
Is Lily with us?
What's that?
Lily with us?
Yep, Lily's with you.
Okay.
Name's Marks. We'll be riding through most of the day and a good part of tomorrow. So, hope you brought your walking boots. Hope you're ready to get a little damp.
Great.
It's just me and the girls here. So, you're going to need to stay close. As you can see, we're loaded down heavy and there's no room for riders. So, you'll be walking.
Oh, I thought he was referring to us as the girls for a second. I was like,
Yeah, me
No,
too.
he-
roll my eyes.
When he said the
means-
girls, he means the oxen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's referring to the oxen.
Air starts to roll her eyes and then realizes her wrong assumption.
He kind of looks you up and down, and he says, "You appear capable." Mostly looking at Freya when he says this. You been around here before?
No, first time in the area.
Yeah.
Anything we should know?
I've been in a lot of different places.
Well traveled, but not haven't been blessed to be.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you ain't missed much. It's worse than it used to be. Put it that way.
In what way?
Used to be you could make your way up and down this coast without much worry of trouble. Used to get blade patrols out here pretty regular. Or at least the fear of the Dawn Emperor would keep folk in line. But it seems like nowadays you get bandits and worse, rebels. And he spits. Not to mention beasts, any number of other hazards. I know my route. It's nothing complicated. And obviously, it's a relatively short journey. But you're going to want to keep your eye out until we get to Featherwand and tuck in safe.
Do the rebels have a large presence here?
I ain't actually seen any of these rebels,
Oh, okay.
but you hear a lot of stories. Folk don't know how good they got it under the Emperor. So, times get a little tight, the cupboards get a little lean, and all of a sudden, anybody who doesn't want to admit they're actually just a bandit starts calling themselves a rebel. Overthrow the Emperor, yada yada. Just an excuse to steal from hard-working folk. I miss the old days, but I'm just an old cat. What can I do? Keep running my route. Anything you need before we set out?
Have you had trouble on any of your last journeys? Like, what type of trouble are you running into? Like, what?
Well,
Been attacked at all?
I mean, like I say, we are about to head out into the wilderness. There ain't much here between here and Featherwand to speak of, other than more of this here salt marsh and bit of scrub pine forest. You'll run into packs of wolves. Again, when times get lean, everything looks like a meal. Occasional bugbear. The tribe's small around here, but they'll raid. And, like I say, bandits. Mostly, what I worry about is the midges.
Itch a lot?
Yeah, if you've not been around these salt marches, I'll tell you what, we grown big here. They'll suck you dry. Won't take long. Get you in your sleep. Gonna want to wrap up tight. I got netting in the wagon, but a cloud of them come down during the day. I seen some of them the size of your head.
Helps not being a soft belly.
Yeah, I imagine that would do you. They find the cracks and the crevices. Just look out.
All right. Well, I suppose we should be on our way.
Fair enough. Let's roll. Cracks his switch just a little bit, and the girls lean against the harness and start to pull the wagon, which rolls out and falls into the deep ruts that all the other wagon traffic has made here into Salt Marsh Landing over the years, and starts rolling its way out of town. Tell me a little bit about how you all are arraying yourself around this wagon. Your job is to defend it for the next day and a half or so on the road. So talk to me about how you're going about this.
I kind of see Pando and Lily at the back. Lily more shaken and afraid than she thought she would be on this journey after what happened on the ship. So I kind of see us walking toward the back of everything.
I was going to say kind of up to the opposite side of the driver, walking toward that side of the wagon, maybe slightly in front of the actual wagon, but keeping things close at hand.
Okay.
That's where Freya stands.
Air is itching for a fight,
Yeah.
and she's probably up front. Just keep an eye out for anything that she could remotely consider a threat.
Yeah.
Okay. But by out front, you mean like running point well ahead of the wagon?
Ahead of the girls.
Ahead of the girls.
Ahead of the girls.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. I got Air's back.
And Potham will climb up into the arms of his steel defender,
Must be nice.
which made them look like a seat, and we'll take up the other side of the wagon opposite of Freya.
Fantastic.
Okay, sounds good.
That's great, because I was going to say if you needed to ride on my shoulder for a little while, you always could.
I got it!
All right, very nice. Well, so then you roll out of town and kind of settle into your various spots. The first half of the day's travel it's a little bleak. Marks is a pretty dour character. After just a little bit of interaction, he doesn't have a whole lot to say, and a lot of your attempts, if you make them, to engage him in conversation receive one-word answers, and then he goes back to the girls. Although I would say Potham and Freya, you're close enough to hear that under his breath, he's kind of got a running conversation going with the girls for most of the journey. He's just telling them stuff. You can't really hear what, but it seems clear he's addressing them. And the weather is unchanged from what you experienced when you left Salt Marsh Landing. It is just a light drizzle heavily overcast. It almost doesn't seem like the sun ever rose, even though you know it's getting well into the late morning. You are soaked through at this point, all of you. Not cold necessarily, but not particularly comfortable. And there's sort of a, not quite eerie, but an unusual quiet on your journey. Everything's muted by this very gentle rain, and there's really nothing around here. You are proceeding on a wide dirt track with deep wagon ruts from heavy traffic over the years. It's clear that this is a fairly major commercial thoroughfare. The road is well taken care of. Particularly, you know this because it's proceeding through a swamp, essentially. There's a grassy marsh as far as your eyes can see in both directions. But this is a really well-made road, several layers of rock and gravel building up a very significant pile up to the top. So the road itself is, other than the drizzle, dry and solid, and you seem to be making decent time.
Are there any other people, species that we are kind of seeing as we go? Do we see any like homes or anything like that? I understand that this is kind of like a swampy, marshy area, but people live everywhere. Creatures live everywhere.
Sure. Make a perception check if you kind of want to look out as you're traveling. Got lots of time for that.
20.
Okay. So as you travel, I would say, Pando, you start to have an interesting experience, I think. Pando obviously is attuned to nature because of her studies and how she was raised and her personal interests. But this is the first time that you've really been immersed in an open wilderness. Most of your experience with nature is, in the outskirts around Chukip, but you've rarely been far enough away that you couldn't still see the walls of the city. And this is about as far from civilization as you've ever been. And so what I would say you notice, and you all notice this, once you get far enough away from Salt March Landing, there are no signs of humanoid civilization at all. You're truly just, other than the road, just rolling through wilderness. This particular wilderness, you do see a lot of wildlife. There are a lot of seabirds or marsh birds. So you don't have names for all of these, but in your mind you can picture great herons and cranes and things of that nature. A lot of seagulls and other birds like that that come just this far in because there's some safe feeding grounds here. You notice various water rats and things like that kind of scurrying off the road from time to time. And at one point, you're pretty sure you see some kind of very large lizard sort of slither off a big log and down into the water when it hears the wagon approaching. Much bigger than you, whatever that thing was, scaly.
My cousin Sarah.
It could have been Sarah.
Yo, Sarah, why are you
Sarah,
here?
what you doing?
But I would say maybe most noticeable, you feel the energy of nature more strongly here than perhaps you ever have. Just there are some currents of nature magic here that are strong and significant, and Pando, you specifically, it's kind of humming through your fingertips right now. Anyone else have thoughts or things you want to do as you're traveling here, or should we jump to a luck roll and see what's coming to you on this day of travel?
Yeah, maybe I'm going to just kind of I know we kind of looked at it from the human or the people side of things too, but we did see. I'd just like to know what other animals are around in the area. Also, I'm feeling like I just am. We had our big lizard person, our big lizard Slytherin, but.
Well, you can make either a perception or a nature check if you want to get a sense of this area.
Okay. I'll make a nature check.
Okay.
We just it's a 5.
It's a
'cause
5.
I'm rolling,
So you
fantastic things. Right, bird poop. I see the bird poop.
Ironically, you are the only one who's actually been on the mainland, but the mainland is huge, and where you came up, is very, very far north of here. So I would say probably you've not had a lot of experience with this kind of salt marsh area before, and it feels a little exotic to you.
Great. I do like that. I do prefer the tundra.
Yeah, it is. Again, it is not cold. It's just sort of warm and drenching is how you're feeling right now. Kind of everything's wet and the air is thick because of the humidity and the drizzle. Probably not super comfortable for a scaled humanoid. All right, well, let's make a couple of quick rolls here as we travel. So, Pando, I'm going to say, because you are sort of focused on all this nature, that you're not going to be the one who's sort of on lookout duty here. Who do we think, well, Air, you're running point.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way to do this. Why don't you roll a perception check for me? And then, Potom, I'd like you to roll the luck check. So just a d20 straight up.
You got it.
Oh my god. It was on a 1 and then just kept rolling. I didn't see it.
Nice. A 19?
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Phew.
We got a 14 for the luck check.
14. Okay, very good. All right. So as you continue to roll on, Air, about 150, maybe, about 150, 200 feet ahead of you, through the drizzle, you just can start to make out some larger shapes. This is noticeable to you because it's the first time anything has really interrupted just tall grasses and swamp on either side. It's relatively close to the road. From here it looks almost like the ruins of a building or some perhaps really large toppled trees. Right now you can just make out sort of the silhouettes through the haze. But you do see that from a good distance away.
Any movement or just dark shapes?
No, just these big dark shapes. You're not seeing anything move, but you're clearly approaching them, and the wagon's continuing to roll towards them.
Okay. Air turns around and speaks just loud enough so that she could be heard, but not shouting necessarily. Something up ahead. And we'll see what the reaction if Marks reacts in any way.
Okay. Marks calls back. Oh, we're coming up on the ruins of, well, they call him Jinx's Folly. Jinx used to run wagons back when I was coming up. Decided one day he was gonna open his own rest stop here in the middle of the marsh. Told me he was gonna strike it rich, selling snacks and whatnot to wagons that pass by. Did an okay business too for a year or so, but eventually the marsh took the building back, and also Jinx got killed. So that was the end of his business.
I guess I would put damper on that.
Selling toilet paper.
Anyway, that was 20 years ago. All that's left now is the chimney and half a wall. But good looking out.
Okay.
Nothing. I can't imagine there would be anything
Nothing
worth
moving.
taking.
Anything worth taking's been picked over long since.
Okay.
All right, as you get a little closer, now within about 100 feet, you can see the ruins there, sort of the remnants of a chimney and a bit of low wall. Looks like whatever Jinx built, it actually spanned the literal road. Because there's ruins sort of on both sides of the road. So the wagon will eventually pass between these two kind of chunks of ruin. And as you get within about 50 feet, I would say, as you get within about 50 feet, the wagon's still set back a ways because you were out ahead of the girls. You do catch just a little bit of movement behind the chimney.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Air turns around, says, "Hold up," and then she's like on high alert here, so she's and itching for a fight, like I said. So
She's jacked to the tits.
and she draws her sword, which I will mention is without any explanation, was a short sword, is now a long sword,
Whoa.
but similar appearance.
Whoa.
Were you like Zelda? You went from childhood to adult,
Maybe.
and it just
Just magically. And she approaches where she saw the movement, the chimney, slowly and tactfully.
I'm ready to kick ass.
You bet.
All right, so Alex, you won't be able to see this, but I've just got a little sketch here on the table. Basically, you've got a road proceeding between these two kind of stone ruins. There we go. And
I'm flying.
what is everyone else doing? So Air has kind of put out.
Can you tip me down just a little bit?
Yeah.
Air has kind of put out the alert.
Oh, I see.
What is the response from the rest of the party when Air does this? Air's darting up ahead, it sounds like, to go
I
investigate.
drop back and I'm right back by the boxes.
Okay, so you're going to
I'm
stand near the
right
wagon.
By the wagon.
And I signaled to Lily to like stay back. There's so much room for her to run back.
Exactly.
Just in
She
case.
can just run into the woods and hide.
Exactly.
Lily.
And that's what I
Don't
said.
come home till later.
She's a cat.
I'm gonna
she
put-
can go
I'm
high.
going to place the wagon right here.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so you're sending Lily even further back. And Panda, what are you doing?
I'm staying right at like the tail end of the wagon.
Tail end of the
yeah,
wagon.
I'm taking it all in.
Okay.
I like how
But I'm ready.
I like how we were trying to keep Lily safe, and our version of safe is just bring her along.
Yeah.
These dangerous missions where we expect to get into fights.
I'm just trying to get her to Featherwand, where I envision cat toys galore. And she'll just have a great life.
And Potom, what are you and your Steel Defender doing?
I'm going to hop down from the arms and
Stretches because he was taking a nap.
instruct the Steel Defender to defend Air. Which, I mean, will ultimately just be a hold action on the Steel Defender until something happens.
Okay, very good. And are you going anywhere?
I will defend the wagon.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like everybody except Air is staying back by the wagon, and Air, you are moving forward. The movement you saw was sort of behind that chimney there. Do we have minis for you all?
Oh,
You have, I think they're spread about.
There we go.
Or, yeah.
So, and
remember
maybe
what we
the
were
steel
using.
defender actually just kind of starts to close the distance between the wagon and the air.
Okay. Let me grab a Pando looking mini, something
Thank you.
elfy.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
it's on my
Nature-y.
to-do list to get a real panda made.
All right. Very good. Oh, I'm gonna
Oh, I guess she's not
get a
actually.
placeholder for Potom too, and the defender. That looks like a steel defender.
can you see Potom?
Oh, that's nasty.
Not really, but it's fine.
Theater of the mind for you, Alex.
It's,
You can just see air.
The camera really likes to focus in on Thomas.
Yes.
So,
Do I need to hide?
but, oh, there we are.
All right, very good.
Okay.
So, tell me what it is. Tell me how you're approaching this.
Sword drawn.
Sorry, I gotta put you down.
Walking directly towards it, but also keeping an eye on the ruins on the opposite side of the road. But no, I'm walking right. I'm not trying to do anything creative necessarily. I'm walking right towards it.
Okay. All right, very good.
But you know, ready to strike at a moment's notice.
Sure, sure. Well, I'm going to let your perception check carry through on this because you rolled a
Good.
pretty good perception check there. When you get close enough, you see it is positioned such that you see a goblin. It's positioned such that it is clearly waiting for something or someone to pass this chimney so it can shoot it in the back.
Okay.
But you have made your way just far enough to the edge of the road that you can see this critter from behind. And that's all you see right now.
Does it look like to air that the goblin sees air?
No, the goblin is looking this way. It's looking, it's looking along the other side of the chimney right now.
Okay.
Can I see the goblin too, or just Air can't?
No, you can't. You're still too far back.
Okay.
With the drizzle, you don't have that kind of visibility right now.
Okay. Air, having now confirmed her suspicions, is actually going to make her way back and inform the rest of the group that there's they're lying in wait for us.
Okay. Sounds good.
At least one.
Yeah. At least one. Yeah. That or I was going to cast invisibility, but I'll do the maybe the smarter thing. So yeah, she can make her way back.
Okay.
All right. Marks kind of lets out a deep sigh and says, should have figured. Bandits. Well, time to earn your pay.
Is it possible for us to sneak around this direction, or
It's all marsh. All
hey.
we can do is go straight ahead. So if you
I
want to
think
get
that we
there, we got to clear the way. Well, you got to clear the way.
And we only see
I
one
mean-
for right now, right?
It's all you spotted.
For right now.
I think I have an idea, actually. I'm thinking, Freya's been thinking about her breath weapon quite a bit here lately, her ability to freeze water. And so I'm wondering if I could freeze some water and sneak over. Maybe Air could sneak over the top of it if I froze some. Maybe couldn't hold Freya weight, but possibly Air. I don't know how you feel about that.
Possibly. What is the range of your breath weapon?
It's just 15 feet.
So
Probably not that
I'm not sure
far.
that I mean, you could
Be too
potentially
helpful.
freeze 15 feet of water, but I'm not sure if that's
If I
going to
could,
be.
that's going to be enough for you to walk on water.
For 15 feet, maybe.
For 15 feet, you could walk on water. I'm still feeling like that could.
I mean,
So it's water all the way up to here.
Yeah, basically, so where you see the green lines, that's where it really starts to get marshy.
Okay.
So where that goblin is, it's like up to its knees in water and surrounded by tall grasses. The brown lines that I do on here are the road itself. So it's a fairly steep berm, maybe 2 to 3 feet in most places. So a good sized step up for Potom and for everybody else, still significant. But yeah, and as you get deeper in here, it's hard to know how deep the marsh is. These grasses are pretty tall, and there could be places where the water is actually quite deep, or maybe not.
We could use the Steel Defender to
defend.
Poke around.
maneuver. I mean, just thinking back to one of our earlier, to 2 weeks ago, when I happened to stand on Freya's shoulders to clear a sewer. Why don't I ride on the Steel Defender's shoulders to get into a flanking maneuver position now?
Does the Steel Defender swim?
No, I don't. I guess I haven't tested that.
Just sinks to the bottom.
But if he is ultimately lost, I'll just make another one.
He technically doesn't have to breathe air either, so he could just like climb out of the marsh if he goes down too
As you
far.
can see, the Mark II is a rather crude design. The Mark I just, with extra bits clipped on. Ultimately, there will be a Mark III in the future once we get to a town where I can find some better resources. But I think that this would be a good test of its abilities to, keep me out of harm's way. Well, no, that doesn't quite make track either, as if the exocomp gets stuck on it. Maybe this isn't a good idea.
Okay, well,
Well, yeah, I mean... Oh, sorry, Alex, I thought you were going to say something.
Nope.
I mean, we can do a little more scouting, maybe.
Yeah.
If we're still, a little unsure what's going on.
Yeah.
Erwin can cast
I
invisibility.
haven't
I'd
seen
like
us
to know
yet,
if there's
right?
something else going on up there.
Yeah. So, Eric's going to cast invisibility on herself.
Okay, very good.
Maybe
Burn your spell.
Yep.
Well, and what if we send the Steel Defender forward with you being invisible? So then there is something to spring the trap.
Oh, sure, if you
You
want.
can like walk
I was
behind
just,
it.
I was gonna just, yeah.
Then the trap is sprung, and we can see everything.
Hmm?
You're there being invisible, and if you ultimately need help, if the Steel Defender needs help, the exocomp, we're not too far behind.
Okay. So Air's gonna move ahead of the Steel Defender, and am I able to like walk along this as if it's steps as
Yeah.
it appears?
Yep.
You gone up there?
I don't know where you would feel is appropriately for the Steel Defender to be positioned, but
Well, I mean, you tell me. Is the exocomp just marching up the middle of the road?
Yes,
Okay.
I would imagine.
All right. So how do you want to time this then, Air? This
wants
thing
to-
is going to march forward at its normal walking speed. So
Yeah.
where do you want to be when?
and she is going to ideally want to get up here to get a view before the the Steel Defender is far enough along. So yeah, so she wants to get there long before the Steel Defender is.
Okay. So
So she
first
races
things first,
ahead,
I want
yeah.
you to make a stealth check at advantage because you are invisible.
20.
20.
Okay, very good. All right, so first of all, the rest of you see air vanish before your eyes, and then you hear just a sort of a whisper of footsteps as she tracks away. Meanwhile, the exocomp is clomping its way up the road, and air, as you make your way, kind of dance your way up this old crumbling stone wall, you see that, as you probably suspected, the goblin that you noticed is not the only one lying in wait, but rather there are two huddled behind that wall, sort of whispering to each other. And from up here, you can see one more. This guy Mini doesn't have a bow and arrow, but he does. So there's basically an archer on either side of the road positioned there, and these guys with little scimitars, daggers, and short swords are hiding behind the wall, it looks like, ready to run out. And make one more perception check for me, please, as you scan about. These guys are all kind of immediately obvious to you.
Nat 20.
Nat 20 is very good.
Now I roll well.
Well,
This is helping. This is helping.
turns out these are good rolls to roll well for, because the other thing you can see is in the tall grasses further up the road, maybe about 20, 30 feet up the road, you see a minotaur.
Sure, of course.
Armed with sort of heavy hide armor and a very significant looking sword and a big shield, all of which is sort of rubbed down in mud and dirt to prevent any glares from the sun or whatnot. But you're just high enough on the wall that you can see over the grasses and see this thing's horns kind of poking out and recognize that this creature is also lying in wait. And with a natural 20, I'll give you one more thing, which is you notice something strange about the road directly past these pillars. Like the gravel of the road has been recently disturbed in some way, right about here.
It's a trap.
Oh boy. Well, what am I supposed to do now?
So you've got the ability to respond with maybe one thing before the exocomp makes its way any closer. It's probably about here by the time you take all that in.
Well, it was given orders to protect me, so I think, unfortunately, my best bet to stop it, because I can't just yell an order to it, would be to put myself in danger. So that's the logic Ares moving with here, and then so she's going to. I don't know. Well, how high is this? Can she jump down?
Yeah, I mean, at the point where you're standing right now, it's maybe 4 or 5 feet. At its very highest point, if you climbed all the way up, maybe 8 feet.
Okay. She's gonna in a dramatic fashion jump down and strike one of the goblins with her sword.
Okay, which one? These two are sort of melee armed. This one is one of the archers.
Yeah, one of the center one.
Okay, so she's just gonna leap down Assassin's Creed style.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Attack
Blade. Yeah.
Attack this guy. Okay.
Okay.
Very good. So in that case, we're going to do a few things. First, I'm going to ask all of you to roll for initiative, please.
9.
All right. A 9 for Freya, a 6 for Air,
Ironically.
a 6 for Potom, and a 17 for Pando. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Also, can I just tell you, I'm using the new D&D Beyond Encounter tracker for the first time.
Oh.
And it just auto-filled all of those rolls as you all were rolling them because you're on D&D Beyond,
fancy.
which is really sick.
Was it always available and you just didn't
That's
use
pretty
it, or-
sweet.
It's
Yeah,
been in
that's
beta
awesome.
for a long time, and so first it was just an encounter builder, but now they've made it an encounter tracker as well.
Nice.
And it's pretty sweet. Okay. So before we...
The Exocomp shares my initiative roll.
Oh, okay. Got it. I mean, that's bad news for it right now, but got it. Okay, so first, things first. I'm giving you a surprise round here, or rather, you're just going to act before we start combat. So go ahead and make an attack on this goblin at advantage.
You got it.
That's going to hit for certain.
Sure.
And you may do your damage.
7. Kind of a low roll, unfortunately, but...
Well, lucky for you, 7 is exactly how many hit points that goblin has. So in true Assassin's Creed style, you leap off this wall, invisible, and plunge your longsword into this creature's back, skewering it. It lets out a squeal as it dies, and you become visible as your spell breaks. And at this point, chaos breaks loose as these creatures recognize that their carefully plotted ambush is at an end. The first creature to react, actually, is the Minotaur, who...
I imagine that before the spell breaks, he gets sprayed with blood, silhouetting his features, and then he hears them.
There's like
Yeah,
a
definitely.
huh moment. I think that
Definitely,
was-
like a invisible man getting up with a bucket of paint dumped on them. Yep. The Minotaur, hearing the squeal and seeing somewhat what has happened, decides to engage the ambush immediately and charges forward with a battle cry out of the long grass and manages to get to about here.
Running along the road.
Yep, jumps up onto the road and then just runs along the road. At which point, sees the Exocomp, looks a little confused, but decides to attack it nonetheless. And it is going to do that with it's going to do a gore attack. So it's going to use an attack called Charge. If the Minotaur moves at least 10 feet straight towards a target and then hits it with a gore attack, target takes extra damage. So it is charging for the Exocomp. That is a 12 to hit, which misses the Exocomp, right? Because it's 15 AC, yep. So it misses. You know what, though? This is a reckless attack. So that's a 17, which will hit. And the Exocomp is going to take... Ooh. A lot.
Oh, gosh.
Wait, what are you doing?
Exocomp is going to take 29 points of piercing damage.
What?
Wow.
All right. Well, so
No.
Two.
Well, that would have downed me, too. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, 29 of
I will,
piercing damage.
I will point out to you that that reckless attack puts that Minotaur at disadvantage to all attacks for this upcoming round.
And how far are we,
Yeah.
distance-wise?
Well, I would say that Freya, you are close enough to close the distance. What's your movement?
30.
30, yeah. You're close enough to close the distance. Those at the back of the wagon are not. So Freya, I would say you're about 30 feet away from the Minotaur.
Okay.
Potom, same. And
He's just a little guy.
our folks hiding at the back of the wagon are farther away.
Okay.
Okay, so next in the initiative order is this goblin archer who spins around, sees the assassin that just killed one of his little buddies, and in a panic, just point blank fires his short bow at you.
Disadvantage.
Will be at disadvantage. So that is a 10 to hit, which
It's a miss,
is going to miss. And he looks nervous,
as you should.
as he should.
As you should.
Next up in the initiative is Pando. Pando, you are at the back of the wagon and hear this chaos kind of pop loose. You have a speed of 35.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say you can't get to within melee of any of these critters right now, but you can certainly move up quite a ways if you would like.
Yeah, and so just if I move, I can also do like a cantrip, or is
Oh, yeah.
movement my only
You
thing?
get movement,
And
action, and bonus
bonus.
action every turn.
Okay. So she's kind of freaked out because they were just beat up. But she's like, all right, shake it off. I have to get into this. And so she's going to run up to be near where Freya is as well, because that puts her within 30 feet of the Minotaur, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then she is going to Thorn Whip, because that's 30 feet.
Okay. Sounds good. Do your thorn.
4.
You need to roll an attack first.
Just kidding on that. 26.
Okay.
That's a nat 22.
Oh, that's
Yes.
a nat 20?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So
Sorry,
you-
I forget that's what that B
I did too.
is. I'm like,
That's okay, because you're gonna get extra damage for that. So let's see.
Gilbert.
Oh, Gil.
So your thorn whip is a 1d6. You rolled a 4, so you're actually gonna do 10 damage with
Okay.
your thorn whip because it was a critical hit.
it's getting more powerful. There's some thorns on it.
Sorry, you targeted the Minotaur?
the Minotaur.
I did.
Okay.
Because he's right in front of me.
No, I was just checking because I mean it's a nat 20, but I was thinking like it would have been at advantage, right? Or is that not how that works?
Well, so thorn whip as a spell, no. Melee attacks have advantage.
Oh, it's
against
melee
him
attack. Oh, it's
right
melee
now
attack.
because he attacked recklessly. Basically, he's just wild.
melee.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
It's a
nice
surprise attack on them.
Yeah, but nice nat 20. You do 10 damage. So a very long and extra thorny looking thorn
Extra
whip
thorny now.
comes sweeping out of Pando's hands and wraps around the Minotaur's chest and kind of gouges some deep bloody tracks across him for 10 damage. Next up is one of the goblins. That's going to be this little guy who also is going to turn and face you, Air. That goblin who has you flanked is going to attack you with his scimitar. That is going to be a 23 to hit. And so I assume that hits. And you're going to take 7 points of slashing damage from that goblin. The next goblin in the initiative order is dead, and it is Freya's turn.
All right, Freya's leaping up to that Minotaur
Okay, charge forward.
and in rage. And the funny thing happens as she rages, there's like a twitching.
Ooh.
Like there's something happening, and she doesn't really know. And there's a fight. There's a definite fight going on. I have to roll a die.
Interrupt the narrative to roll that.
Yeah, roll a die. It's a 6. And so suddenly she shrieks, and an eagle flies around, comes straight around. That's her. She looks a little surprised too, even though she's raging. So.
All right, so you charge forward with an
eagle.
You rage with an eagle scream.
With an eagle scream and an eagle flying around my head, and I grab my great axe and I slam it as hard as I can to the Minotaur.
Okay, you can attack at advantage.
Okay.
Because the Minotaur attacked recklessly.
Okay. Oh, see, I'm only gonna roll 5s apparently. Oh, there we go. 24.
Okay, that definitely hits. So, do your damage.
Damage of 13.
Nice. All right, you put a big bloody slash in this guy. Anything that we should know about this eagle situation?
Well, I can also, as a bonus action, dash.
Oh, nice.
So I think what I'm going to do is I will... maybe I'll just kind of dash away from the Minotaur. I'm going to go back over here and maybe flank this guy.
Yeah, you can. If you do that, the Minotaur will get an attack of opportunity against you.
What does that mean exactly?
It means if you're leaving his combat range, he gets to take an attack
Oh.
as a reaction to that.
Nah, I'll stay here then.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that for all fights?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. But it does cost your reaction. So as we get a little bit higher in levels, you all, you'll find that there's lots of things that can be done with that reaction. So there are really 4 parts of every combat round. There's your movement, your action, your bonus action, and then a reaction. So everybody gets 1 reaction.
Okay.
An opportunity attack is one of the most common reactions. Everybody can do that. Everybody's got that. But different characters can get different reactions over time.
Oh,
also.
except also, so sorry, I'm just starting to I don't understand what all of these things mean.
That's okay.
so I actually have so other creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against me. Also,
Great.
So that is part of my whole thing. I can dash away, but they don't have. I am gonna come around here and flank this because when I flank somebody with you, or like I'm in proximity, there's another advantage that's given to you, right?
Yep. Basically, if you have a guy surrounded, you get advantage on the on attacks.
Yeah. So I'm gonna come over here, and so you can try to make a disadvantage.
All right. He's gonna swing at you with his sword at your back.
Okay.
But that is gonna miss badly.
Okay.
So I think kind of startled by your eagle cry and suddenly seeing you move much faster than he expected, he swings wildly and misses you. Next up is this goblin. He's going to peek his head around the corner and he's going to fire off an arrow from his short bow at Pando. That is going to miss. That's an 8. So no luck for him. And then we are back in initiative order to Air and then Potom last.
Quick question, and I think I know the answer to this, but invisibility, it ends with attacks or casting a spell, but using an ability like Hexblade's Curse, it's not a spell. Does that count?
I would have to look that up.
Yeah.
To know for sure, but my guess is probably not.
I guess it actually doesn't matter now, but I was thinking like I thought I didn't do that because I thought I was like, oh, that's like casting a spell, but then I was like reading it more carefully and I was like, well, it's not a spell, and it says like explicitly spell.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
anyway.
it's not.
It's like
if
in this case, you're blood.
in my translation of this, if it wasn't a cantrip or you weren't spending a spell slot, then it's an ability, not a spell, and it wouldn't be.
Okay, I'm not invisible anymore, I suppose, but that's something to keep in mind, I guess. Air is going to, because she's terrified of getting hurt, is actually going to cast Blur on herself.
Okay, sounds good.
And she's going to...
Now this is a cruise ship leaving.
And she's also going to use her bonus action to cast a curse on the archer.
Okay.
Goblin.
Very
next
good.
to her.
All right.
And then that is all she's doing this turn.
Sounds good. Potom, you're up.
How far away am I?
Right now, you are 30 feet away from the Minotaur, and all the goblins are a little further than that.
Great. Potom's going to pull out his phaser. Seeing the exocomp go down, Potom will pull out his phaser and fire off a burst of Ray of Frost
Ooh. All right.
at the Minotaur.
All right. Roll your attack. Right, or was the Ray of Frost? Does he have to defend against that? What is he?
It's an attack roll of 19. That's
Oh.
what I got.
Great, that hits. You can do your damage.
Oh. It lingered on 4 for the longest time, and just at the end it rolled over to 2.
Oh,
2.
bummer. Does the Ray of Frost have any other effects apart from damage?
On a hit, takes 1d8 damage, and the speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn.
Oh, that's
Okay, so his speed is reduced. There's sort of an icy crust that forms around the Minotaur, and it's particularly his legs, and he takes a little bit of frost damage there. Any movement, or are you going to stay this far away?
Yes, I'm going to move about half that distance.
Okay, so you're going to close a little bit?
Yep.
Sounds good. Okay, well, next up is the Minotaur, who is now slowed a bit because of your spell, but still has plenty of movement to charge around the corner at the
Look at this chain of.
at the silver dragonborn that dodged his attack. And he is going to continue his reckless assault with his large sword. That is a natural 20. So
I think that hits.
you're going to take some big old damage
Oh no.
from this very big sword. Okay. That's a lot. Let me do some math.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
That's 41 points of damage.
Cut in half, though,
Cut in half.
right?
You're raging.
I'm raging,
take
and yeah,
half.
which means I have 1 left.
So
41.
20 points of damage is what
Yeah.
you've just taken.
So I have 21 hit points total.
Okay. Yeah, he is a natural 20 is a really, really huge.
Yeah.
That's really huge for him.
Did you?
His sword does 2d12 plus 4, and with a crit, he does max, well, all my crits, you know, max damage plus the roll. So good thing you were raging,
Good thing.
or you would have been very
A
dead.
goner.
Totally.
Did you make sure to add your health after leveling up?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
we
what he
did
just
that.
helped me with.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's his turn.
A little low.
Next up is one of these remaining goblins. That's this little guy right here, who at this point is going to drop the short bow. Actually, you know what? No, he's scared of you. He's gonna. He cannot bonus action disengage because he's just a goblin, not a rogue, right?
I think you can just.
Sometimes these little guys.
You can use an action to disengage.
Oh, yeah. No, he does. He has nimble escape. So he's going to use his bonus action to disengage and move back to about here on the road and fire his short bow at you.
Oh, okay.
That is a 13 to hit.
Okay.
Which, does that hit you? Does that miss you?
No, that misses.
That misses you, yeah, because you have shiny new armor.
Yeah.
Fancy new armor.
Also, does it not get disadvantage anyway? But
He only had disadvantage because he was at point blank range.
I cast blur.
Oh, that's right.
Well, it doesn't.
Well, it
it
doesn't
misses
matter.
anyway.
Still
Yeah,
misses.
but I just want, for clarification.
Forgot about Blur, yeah.
What does blur do?
It any I think it's any attack, any incoming attack. For the duration, any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Attacker is immune to this effect if it doesn't rely on sight, such as blind sight or true sight or things like that.
Yeah, that's a good defensive spell. Pando, you're up.
So Pando is still back by it's ox, right? The ox that are.
The oxen, yep. You're basically standing right in front of them.
So she kind of looks at them and she kind of looks back at Lily and kind of takes a deep breath and moves forward. So she has a walking speed of 35, but she's moving faster than walking. She's heading toward where all the action is, and as she gets to be about 20 feet away, kind of a bright light goes off, brighter, much brighter in her like immediate orbit than anywhere else on the road, and she wild shapes into an ox.
Okay, nice.
And the ox, if you need any help with its what the ox is about to do, the other two ox, by the way, just kind of and like look toward her like what just happened. So the ox has the ability to charge at the target. Do you know this? Am I telling you stuff you already
No,
know?
go for it. I don't know about ox.
Okay, neither did I, but here we are. So she charges forward toward the Minotaur.
Okay.
His big ol' ass is like the target in sight. And its action is a melee gore attack. With +6 to hit. And then if it's a charge of at least 20 feet, takes an extra 7 2d6 piercing damage. One target.
Love it. Very similar to the Minotaur's charge attack. That's great. All right, so you all witnessed something that you've never seen before, which is your friend Pando, essentially her body shifting, growing, and morphing into that of a full-sized ox, which then lowers its horns and charges. Potom, this huge ox charges right past you from behind. I probably didn't maybe even see the transformation happen. So you could be forgiven for thinking it was one of the girls just suddenly charging past you. So Pando, as your oxen body lumbers up, make a attack at advantage against the Minotaur because he attacked recklessly again this last time. So you roll at advantage with a +6.
And what die would that be?
Just roll a
while I'm
d20.
in- That's it for while I'm even in wild shape and.
Yep, roll a
Okay.
d20. Well, you're getting the +6, but roll the d20 twice and tell me the highest number.
Okay. $16.
Okay, +6 is a 22, which definitely hits. So you're going to get to roll all that good damage. So your gore damage plus your charge damage.
Awesome. And I have to actually roll that, right?
Yep. Actually, I don't know. Does it say there?
So melee weapon attack +6 to hit. Hit is 7 1d6 +4 piercing damage.
All right, so roll 1d6 and add
Kind of
4.
like reading another language.
Yeah.
D6. And then +4.
Yep, so that's 8. And then you also had your charge damage, right?
Right.
So what's that?
And another D6 for that.
What? Go back and look
yeah,
at what the
Or
charge
just the
damage
actual
was.
number.
Yeah, I have to look what it was.
Extra 7.
That's
2d6.
interesting. Yeah, the target takes an extra 7, and then in parentheses says 2d6 piercing
Well,
damage.
7 is if you don't want to roll, if you just want to
Oh,
use
if
the
you just want it-
statistical
I
average.
gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Oh,
Okay.
more
So
for your-
roll 2d6.
Okay.
I don't read enough monster stat blocks.
It's for lazy DMs who don't want to roll.
5.
Okay, 5 more.
No,
All right,
another one. That was only 1d6.
just rolled 1d6.
It's
And you rolled
just
5.
keep coming.
Yeah, it's a massive roll. So it's
1.
6.
Okay. All right. So this by surprise, this raging ox comes charging down the path and slams its horns into the back of this Minotaur, launching him forward. One of the horns, I think, just bursts through his sort of meaty thigh Freya, you turn and look behind you and see this minotaur get lifted bodily off the ground
Sweet.
by a raging ox.
I feel bad for these bandits. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't really ready.
We weren't ready
for this jelly. All right, very good. That's your turn. Next, it is this goblin's turn. He does not love where he is right now, surrounded by very scary things. So he's going to also bonus action disengage. Actually, first he's going to attack air. That is a 17 to hit.
Disadvantage.
Oh, that's right. No, that misses badly. At which point he's going to disengage, and he is going to run over here as far as he can get. Freya, it is your turn.
So, so I can attack at advantage, right, to the Minotaur?
You can, yeah.
Which I shall do, again, with my great axe, because why not?
Why not?
And so, since, just to explain this to me, because we haven't actually battled that much. Just, so with Pando being back there, like, what...
Well, you get advantage no
I get
matter
advantage
what,
anyway.
right?
Okay,
Because you're
normally
getting
if we didn't... Yeah.
advantage from multiple sources, but
Okay.
advantage does not stack. So
Okay.
if you're getting advantage from flanking and you're getting advantage from his recklessness,
Sure.
you just get advantage.
Okay,
There's no
very
like
good.
triple secret advantage or anything.
There's
Sounds
not like
good.
3 levels of
Yeah.
advantage.
We either got a 20 or... Yeah, so 20.
Okay, well that definitely hits. So you can do your great axe damage.
Oh, come on. 8.
8. All right. This Minotaur is looking pretty rough at this point. Definitely not happy to be in this situation. In fact, all of these bandits are starting to look a little panicky as what they thought would be a
They didn't sign up
nice,
for this.
clean ambush and a quick mark is turning out to be costly. This goblin is deeply confused about what's going on with that ox, but doesn't have a clean line of sight on it, so instead is going to fire his bow at Potom. That's a natural 20.
Oh,
That's my second natural 20 this combat.
Wow.
Pretty good. So Potom and max damage. So Potom, that'll be 14 points of piercing damage.
You got this, Bottom. That's
oh
not.
yeah. I can take 14 points of piercing damage.
That is the absolute best that goblin can do. That goblin is living its literal best life for a very short period of time. After
Every
this,
single moment of that goblin's life
has been leading up to
culminated
this.
to that exact.
All the practice,
Yes.
getting yelled at by that Minotaur week after week. He finally really zeroed in, and he was like, "This is my moment to shine." Air, it is your turn.
Okay, I think you guys got the Minotaur. Maybe.
Oh, I can keep going.
I got one. I got
Okay.
one more hit point to go.
Air's going to move. I assume it would be able to make it
Oh yeah,
to this melee goblin,
sounds good.
carefully avoiding the strange patch of road,
Mm-hmm. Smart.
and we'll attack. At 18.
18 hits.
Right.
7 or better.
14. Well, I think, and
Yeah.
I actually, for the life of me, I believe one of them has bonus damage to it. Now I forgot which one it was. Actually, I think it was the far one. Never mind.
This guy.
Yeah.
Well,
Not that it
you
matters.
annihilate that goblin, nearly chopping it in half with your
Amazing.
your now humming longsword. Anything else on your turn?
No.
Potom, you are up. You yank the feathered arrow out of your chest, and
I'm sure that Potom has a string of expletives that have come out of his face. But at this point, he's going to move in danger close
Okay.
And hit with his durable regenerator. Hit her with some cure wounds.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay. Roll it up.
So, oh, nice.
Ooh.
You can take points of.
Well, that's a nice
Healing.
roll.
Yeah,
All right.
that's good.
Thank you, Bottom.
Doesn't get a lot better than that. Okay. The Minotaur at this point is
It's an attack of opportunity.
no, nobody's left his range.
Oh, I thought because I moved in that he would.
No, you only get attack of opportunity when you leave the range.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The Minotaur at this point is badly hurt, is looking deeply concerned, but then you see, I think Freya, you see this and you recognize this look because you've been on a lot of battlefields with a lot of people. There's two things you notice at the same time. First, you notice that this Minotaur's horns are sawn down. So you saw something similar on the docks at Chukeep. They've grown out a bit since then, but they have no tips. They're disfigured. And the second thing you see is you see something in this Minotaur's eyes, which is a look you've seen before. It's a look of a combination of giving up and giving into madness, where this Minotaur goes into just an absolute blood rage and goes berserk. He has committed to ending his life in the closest way he knows how to an honorable path. And with that, he rages out and attacks again recklessly. I don't think he knows what to do with an ox, so he's just gonna attack. No, he would definitely attack. He's just attacking everything near him. So he's gonna make 2 attacks. First against the ox. It is a reckless attack. That is gonna be a 19 to hit the ox. So ox, you're gonna take 21 points of damage.
Ooh.
Ox
15
damage.
hit points. I imagine the ox is done.
Yes. Okay. So here's.
I thought you were the ox.
So yes. So here's what happens. 7 of those hit points roll over to Pando.
Okay.
So he slashes wildly and just chops deep into the neck of this ox, almost beheading it. Blood sprays everywhere, but kind of crawling out from inside the carcass of this ox as it sort of melts away is Pando, who also has a deep cut on her. So it takes 7 points of damage to your actual Pando hit points.
Freya and Bottom are like, what in the hell?
Yeah. I would say it's among the more startling things that you've witnessed. Definitely. And then he is going to make 1 additional attack with his horns at Freya. Again, recklessly. That is an 18 to hit. Jeez. Does that hit? That is 11 points of damage,
Which is
reduced
5.
to
6.
reduced to 5.
To 5. Okay.
And he's just yelling now, sort of unintelligibly yelling. Now it is this little goblin's turn. He is going to fire another arrow from his short bow at air at disadvantage. So that for sure misses. A nat 20 and a 4.
Heck yeah, man.
Blurred, man, it's something. And Pando, it's your turn.
I should just dump my other spells and just keep that.
Pando is right next to him still, right? That's me.
Yep.
Dripping in blood, kind of on a high from what just happened. And she's just kind of feeling the adrenaline of all of this, and she uses primal savagery at him.
Okay, tell us about primal savagery and what it looks like when it happens.
Yeah, so it's a little bit harder for anyone to see who's not like right up against her, because essentially like her teeth and her nails become the weapons, and there isn't a lot that visually changes. They get a little bit pointier, but they're like stone steel hard, like to the touch, as opposed to just kind of the normal feel of bone. And that's what she uses.
All right.
She just kind of lashes out at him.
I love it. Make your attack. Roll the...
9.
9 is going to miss.
Okay.
So you kind of caught up in the moment here, slash out at the Minotaur, but your fingernails, claws kind of rake against his shield as he shoves you away.
But she does it at advantage, right? Because that was a reckless.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah.
still reckless. So roll
Yeah.
advantage, absolutely. Thank you for remembering that. So roll one more time. Let's see if you can do better than a 9.
19.
That
There we
hits.
go.
Yeah, definitely. Good looking out. Good looking out. All right, so roll your damage. Looks like it's a D10.
Mm-hmm. 4.
Nice.
Man, Pam's dangerous now.
She is.
Yeah.
It's surprising her too.
Yes.
Like she's just as scared as she is like caught up in the adrenaline.
I love it. All right, these other goblins are DED dead. So Freya, it is your turn next in the initiative.
All right, one more time with the great axe. Come on, it's gonna happen.
At advantage.
This one's Clark.
I would like to hold them both right now, please.
15 or... Oh, I guess we'll go 15.
15 is just enough to hit this Minotaur.
Yes.
So you may do your great axe damage.
Slashing. 14.
That is a lot of damage.
Man, I feel bad for this Minotaur.
This Minotaur is almost literally falling apart. He's drenched in his own blood and a whole bunch of ox blood. He's snorting with every breath and looks like he's barely keeping himself up, but he's still just wild-eyed and moving. Next, we've got a goblin who is not happy about being this close to air. Gonna move back a little ways up to there and bop off another shot. At disadvantage, misses again, and is now looking like real panicky. In fact, I'm gonna say uses its bonus action to dash back to here. And
Where
Air,
you
it is
got
your
that at?
turn.
I think Air's just gonna continue. No, she's not a fan of goblins, so I think she's just gonna kind of continue the slaughter.
Sure. let the slaughter commence.
And then this is not that it's actually gonna matter, but this is actually, I believe, the one that has the bonus
curse.
damage to it.
Mhm.
Yeah. 12. Kind of a low roll.
12 does not hit the goblin. A little too nimble.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, ducks the slash of your blade.
Yeah, and I got no cool bonus actions, unfortunately, so that's that.
Okay. Potom, you're up. You are standing right next to Freya and within reach of the Minotaur, who is nearly on one knee, still just kind of wild-eyed and flailing about.
Well, this seems a little low tech for Potom, but we'll use our quarterstaff two-handed
Okay.
and just give him a quick little jab at the end of it.
All right, roll at advantage.
Well, that's good. No, that's not.
Oh, no. You know, it
Potom's
just...
very bad at using his quarterstaff. You should stick to technology.
It's just, it's
Against
never...
Minotaurs.
Every time he pulls that thing out, it's a problem. Yeah, so I think yeah, you kind of swing wildly, and I'm thinking your footing out here in this marshy area is worse than everyone else because the water's about up to your waist out here, and you're just not able to get the strength behind your swing to do anything significant to this guy. And so, a surprise to me, but he's going to get one last round as initiative order comes back around to the Minotaur. I'm going to roll a d6 to see who he attacks here. Freya, you're 1 and 2. Pando, you're 3 and 4. Potom, you're 5 and 6. That's a 1. So he is going to slash out at Freya. Again, reckless with his big sword. That's a really bad roll, even at advantage. What's his bonus? A 14. Does that hit you?
14.
That does hit
yeah,
you.
It does hit me. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is 19 points of slashing damage reduced to 9.
Wow.
Freya.
We gotta get you like some like full plate.
I've taken like 80 points of damage here. Okay.
I mean, so much
like,
damage. So much damage. It's just a really good thing that you're raging. I mean, here's the thing: like barbarians are meant to be big swinging meat shields.
Yeah.
So they actually aren't supposed to wear a bunch of armor. They don't get a lot of advantages to that.
Yeah.
But you all are also going up. This is a very difficult encounter.
Right.
You've been very lucky along the way.
Air's ready to keep going.
Yeah.
Air's like, okay, I could kill some.
But throwing a full, I reduced this Minotaur's hit points from what he normally is, just so I could include him in this encounter. But I still should not have let you do this. Anyway, it's fine.
We're fine.
You're doing fine. Everything's fine. This goblin here, seeing his friend start to bolt, is going to disengage as his bonus action, and he's going to run here.
Ooh, he ran the wrong direction.
Well, yeah, he did, but he's running towards his friend.
His friend doesn't care about you.
And then he's going to make an arrow attack at Air. Disadvantage. It's terrible.
Air's dodged like 7.
Misses again. Yeah.
Attacks.
That's really bad. Pando, you're up.
Gotta finish off that Minotaur.
I know. Panda's like looking at Freya and looking at the Minotaur. She's gonna go again for the Minotaur.
Or should you try to befriend the Minotaur?
Yes, I think
it's too late.
Probably. Yeah.
I don't even know if I was a higher level druid. I can pull it off at this point.
And I was like, charm person, maybe.
As he's got like a limb hanging. Okay, so she's still in super close proximity.
Yeah.
And so I'm just seeing which one is more 1d10 versus 1d6. 1d10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So she's going to do Primal Savagery again and hope that this ends him.
Do it.
And I roll it twice.
At advantage, yeah.
Okay, natural 20.
Okay.
Good.
Well, don't roll it again.
Okay,
That's
okay.
plenty. So you're going to do 10 damage plus whatever you roll on a d10.
Okay.
Man, Panda's like the deadliest one here.
Yeah.
13.
All right. So what does it look like when you end this Minotaur? What does everybody see?
They see Pando, who has never behaved this way before.
He had a family,
What's that?
Yeah, family.
Okay, thanks a lot, Eric.
We're beyond this.
Picture of his kids drifts out of his pocket.
We're beyond empathy at this point. So Pando actually just walks up to him very slowly and takes a bite out of his neck.
All right. Yeah, the rest of you see Pando kind of, she has to jump just a little bit to reach, because this is a tall dude. But she jumps up and just casually tears his throat out with her teeth. And the Minotaur is down.
He does one of these.
What is going on?
What does Lily think about this?
Lily's back behind the wagon and didn't observe most of this, I would
I
say.
didn't know my friend and now master.
Owner.
Owner, yeah.
Wow,
He's a
wow,
monster.
Freya, make a death saving throw, please.
Which
Just a D20, a straight D20.
You'll be fine.
You're right. I'm not worried. 16.
Okay, that's one success. So you can mark a success. Next, this goblin is going to fire off an arrow at Pando. That is an 18 to hit. And Pando takes 8 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And then he's going to run away and disappear into
No.
the swamp.
Ugh.
Air, your turn.
Well, we can't let that happen twice.
I know,
Air
exactly.
attacks the last goblin. Poor guy. He also had a family. I'm sure.
Everybody's got a family.
Nat 20.
Okay, that hits. So max
Oh,
damage
interesting.
plus your roll.
Oh, did it?
It
Oh,
might-
it
It's
automatically.
doing things automatically.
Oh, I see. Well, I'll just take the first one then. Not that it particularly matters.
It really doesn't,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, right.
with our crit rules, you couldn't roll low enough for this thing to survive. So yeah, you a second time obliterate a goblin,
That last one.
and at this point we are out of combat, and
Marx is like, okay.
things kind of calm down.
Oh, they're never going to be the same, though.
Yeah.
We got eagles, we got ox, Pando ate a guy's throat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Got hit with like 2 nat 20. Like,
Autumn's going to secure Freya.
okay.
Okay, with
Bring her back.
what are you casting?
Oh, I'm not casting. I'm just stabilizing.
Or you
her.
just stabilizing her? Okay, make a medicine check.
Oh, I'm rolling like garbage today. 7.
Yeah.
Freya, make a death save.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Oops. Hold everyone. Come on. 12.
Okay, that's 2 successes. Anyone else want to try to stabilize Freya, or you just want to wait and see if she can do it herself?
Does Cure Wounds work for like where she's at right now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Cure Wounds would eliminate all the need for death saves and just pop it right back up.
I mean, I can do that.
Do it.
But as my first level, because it also is popping up in my second level.
When you cast it at second level, it heals for more.
Okay.
So either one is fine. Whatever you choose to do.
I'll do the second level. They really got you.
Okay.
Heal for
So 10.
And it's 2. Does that mean that I roll it twice? Or no?
If you-
the 2 in front of it throws me off.
Oh no!
If you clicked the button, then it would have rolled 2 for you automatically.
Gotcha.
yeah.
So,
So
it's
it roll-
doing that. Okay.
Yep. It's all in there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to give you this right away just so I don't forget. But each of you can take 225 experience points.
Hi.
Actually, you know what? Why don't you make that 275 experience points?
All right, thanks.
Each.
275.
275 each. I'm giving you a bonus there for discovering the ambush.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. We do have to check this little weird thing out here, too. Wait, oops.
So Autumn will also head over to the Exocom and cast Mending,
Okay?
which should pop the Exocom back up again.
Very good.
And then the Exocom's first action will be to use his own healing powers. She can use 3 times a day for 2d8 plus 2 for healing.
Nice.
Which means that he's at 12.
All right, very good. As you are sort of patching up wounds and dusting yourselves off and so forth, you hear kind of a scuffling sound, and you turn around and you see Marks walking up the road from the wagon, or from the direction of the wagon, and he throws the dead body of one more goblin on the ground in front of you in the middle of the road, and he says, "Missed one."
Thanks, Marks.
No problem. Well, I said you looked capable. That's a little bit...
Was that the one that ran off, or was that the one? Was that another one?
Well, if it was running past the wagon, so wasn't too tough. Just a quick pounce. Kind of fun, really. It's been a while. Is that a minotaur?
Yeah. And he's a worthy ally.
was.
Or worthy foe.
Or the alley could have been.
No. Foes are just as worthy of worthy of my I can't even think. I just came back from the dead. Thanks.
Mark's you see Marx's tail twitch a bit, and he says, "We don't get their kind down this way much. Sort of a surprise, especially to see them working with a bunch of goblins. Usually they're too proud for that." Then he looks a little closer and he says, "Oh, I see. He was dishonored. He was out here looking for death. Makes sense now. Well, you got lucky. When they're ready to die, they're just interested in one thing, and that's taking as many people with them as they can."
Brutal.
What's going on with the road up here?
Well, I saw it. Oh, I guess.
Yeah. What's going on with the road up here?
Yeah, we can.
You can make an investigation check if you want, or you can just go like jump on it. Or
No.
Yeah, I think we'll do that.
I will
17.
assist investigation check. Oh well, she got a 17. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Just roll it again, Freya.
One more time.
Just in case.
Okay. 5.
Okay.
Close to 17.
All right. So a few of you at Air's direction poke around where the road was disturbed, and you discover that basically what they've set up here is not quite a trap for people so much as this was meant to trap the wheel of a wagon. Mm-hmm. So it's an extra deep pit in line with the ruts that the wagon wheels fall in. It's filled with brush and whatnot, but essentially what would have happened is the wagon wheel would have dropped about 2 feet into this pit, and it would have been like putting the brakes on. The wagon would not have been going anywhere without a serious levering to get it out of that pit. But it doesn't pose any danger to you or the wagon now that you know it's there. You can simply backfill it with dirt or throw a board on it or whatever and make your way past.
And we have, like, these interior bandits who've been stealing from others. Can we see, like, on the bodies that remain,
can we,
if they have anything?
Sure.
Or if there's anything around?
Definitely
that's
search.
useful?
Search the bodies.
Search the bodies. But, like,
Yeah.
maybe they have some stuff tucked away.
Yeah, for sure, search the bodies. Go ahead and roll an investigation check. Anybody who wants to dig around.
Investigate that too.
14.
17.
16.
13.
All right, that's some pretty good searching. The goblins don't have much on them of value, unless any of you want a short bow. There are 2 short bows here and a few miscellaneous arrows. There's some cheapo short swords and daggers and stuff. Most of it pretty gross. Everything in the goblins' packs is disgusting. Even the food is barely recognizable as that. There's some trinkets, feathers, things like that. But for the most part, nothing you would deem to be valuable. It looks like the Minotaur was considered the leader of this little band, and his stuff is slightly nicer. So he has a decent set of hide armor.
Ooh.
He also has a medium shield, and he has a great sword.
Oh.
Huh. I'll take that great sword.
Okay.
What kind of, I didn't even really ask, like, what kind of armor... Like, Panda wouldn't have any kind of armor, right? Technically? Why would she?
Yeah, why would she? I mean, right now, Pando's wearing leather armor.
Okay.
So, the equivalent of, like, riding leathers or something
Right.
like that. I mean, they offer some small amount of protection, but they're not...
Would there be any advantage for her to pick up the hide armor?
Well, the first question is, are you proficient in it?
I don't know.
Yeah, Pando's proficient
Oh, yeah,
in
medium
medium armor.
Where do
Okay.
you see that? Oh, perfect. Okay.
So Pando can definitely wear hide armor. I will say that this particular hide armor is sized for a Minotaur, which is much bigger than you. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't have someone work on it in a town.
Lily's crafty.
Yeah, I was thinking more an armorer, like a professional armorer in a town. But yeah, I mean, the raw materials are here. This is a decent set of hide armor. So somebody could, for a small amount in a town, probably reconfigure this for you to wear it. If you put it on right now, it'd be kind of a mess.
It's also kind of disgusting.
Swimming in it.
I mean, it's very bloody.
Bloody.
Yeah. But you certainly could keep it.
Although,
Does anyone else need it?
with Panda's new, like, she just takes the blood and, like, war paint.
War paint on her face.
We're like, whatever you want, Panda.
Don't fight me.
Yeah, no one's willing to cross Panda. Panda's like, hey, you guys want some of this armor? No.
Where was Panda when she disappeared? What happened?
Yeah. I think Freya could wear this.
As is, probably.
The
it on.
trade-off is, Freya, remember that as a barbarian, you have a feature called unarmored defense.
Yeah.
So the moment you wear armor, that benefit goes away. Now, granted, that benefit's not awesome right now because you actually have very low dexterity. But later, that might be... Right now, that armor is going to protect you better.
Maybe that'd be best for right now.
Yeah, I'll put it on. I don't know.
All right, I can add that stuff quickly to your...
I did put my great sword on.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I just need to reset.
Bless you.
Thanks. Inventory. Oh yeah, see your great sword here. Not sure that's better than your great axe or worse. It's just a little different.
It's just a pound lighter, I think, and
Yeah.
the damage isn't as good.
The damage is just slightly
About the
better.
same. Oh, it is slightly better?
Because it's 2d6 instead of 1d12, which means you can't roll a 1,
Okay.
but you can still roll a 12. So it's just slightly better. And then I'm going to give you some hide armor.
Is that unarmored defense? Is that so? It's 10 plus dexterity plus constitution.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Right. So as
yeah,
barbarians
I guess
get stronger and stronger, if you dump your as you gain stats, if you dump into dexterity and constitution, that unarmored defense can get really ridiculous. So you're wearing no armor,
Right.
and at some point, like if you had a +3 into +3,
Yeah, but even then, it's plus 6. Yeah. That's a
then
lot.
you got a 16 armor class with nothing on.
Yeah.
You're just naked.
And then you could put that's really good. Actually,
That's really
good.
I didn't realize how good that was.
Yeah. But for now, by equipping your Oh, just kidding. Hide armor only gives you AC of 12, so it's
I was gonna
it's
say.
exactly the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay. Anyway, you also find in the Minotaur's pack some small valuables that they've clearly been gathering off of other folks. So I'm going to say you find 50 gold pieces,
Nice.
approximately worth of various coin
That's
and
great.
stuff, all told. Okay,
Do we just divide that up?
divide it up.
however you want.
Yeah.
Should we give 10 to
10 to...
Mark?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. That's great.
So it
Giving
should
some
be
money
10.
to Marks?
Yeah, why
We're
not?
giving him
Yeah,
10.
he participated.
Yeah.
He got the
You
goblin.
got
Yeah.
that goblin.
That's fine. Yeah, he's very pleased with that. His little cat eyebrows go up, and he's like, "Oh, that's a new one." Well, all right.
Marks.
Can I take? I know Lily's not like one of us, but can I take my 10 and like give it to her? Because essentially she's going to be leaving us when we get to the.
Sure, you can.
Next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lily doesn't have voting shares in this.
no, it's fine. I'm going to give my 10 to her so she has something with her.
Also, she's property, so she can't.
She,
She can't hold.
although she and I joke about that all the time.
Oh, it's hilarious. I'm sure for her.
Very funny.
Oh my god, remember when I owned you?
This is a dark world.
It is.
All right, so this particular scuffle took place probably about it was like 11 a.m. at this point. So
On the date.
Marx offers that it probably would be a good idea to at least pull up far enough so you're away from the stench of the dead bodies, but that it might be a good idea to pause here for a short rest and a meal
Yes, definitely.
before we roll on.
What kind of
Definitely.
if I hit short rest, I guess I could just hit it, but does that refill my hit points or will that require a long rest?
It requires a long rest to go all the way back to full, but if you hit a short rest, you can use hit dice to restore hit points. So the way hit dice works, you as a druid, your hit dice is a d8.
Okay.
You're level 3, so you have 3 of them. So if you see, when you hit the short rest button, you'll see there's 3 little boxes that you can put a checkbox in.
Yeah.
So each time you use one of those or burn one of those, you can roll a 1d8. For you, it's 1d8 plus 1, and heal that much hit points.
Okay.
And those hit dice come back every time you take a long rest. You
Nice.
get some of those back.
So if we're gonna mosey on down the road and I do a short rest, that's just one checkbox, not.
Well, you can
Yeah.
use all of them if you want during the short rest.
Well,
you can use as many hit
roll the
dice as
first
you
one
want.
and see how you do.
Right,
Like I
and
just
then-
rolled one and I'm back to full.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are taking her.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So the group takes a short rest. Marks pulls out some
Perfect.
trail rations
2 brought me to 18.
and doesn't bother with a fire, but just passes around some basically road snacks. You all spend some time bandaging your wounds and kind of resetting your kit. Marks checks the baggage, discovers that everything still seems to be there, and kind of reties everything down.
Oh, sorry.
And about an hour later, he kind of looks around and says, "All right, we better get moving. We want to make it to a good camping spot that I know before it gets too dark."
Right.
Interesting.
And so with that, you roll out once again. As the day continues, the weather starts to shift. The sun does come out just a little bit. It's still fairly overcast, but the drizzle and rain stops, and most of you manage to dry out a fair bit because the wind has also picked up. So there's sort of a warm breeze from inland, and it carries with it the scent of pine. And as you move forward, you start to leave the marsh behind, and you see more and more sort of small, stubby scrub pines growing up out of the sort of mounds and hillocks of land that push up from the swamp, until eventually you are wandering through this scrub pine forest. This is an interesting area if you are taller than 4 feet, which is
All of us.
everyone
for
except
Fred.
Potom.
Well, but he's being carried by
Well, that's true. That's a good point. So here's what I would like you to picture. These scrub pines are they have fat, knotty boughs and sort of deep red bark, and the needles are a very dark green. They're especially long, so they almost look hairy. These trees, but not a single one of them is taller than about 4 feet, and there's hundreds of thousands of them in all directions. This is a massive forest, but it's a little weird. There are times where you almost feel like a giant walking through a regular pine forest, like your head up above, these trees reaching to about mid-shoulder for you as you look out across this really broad expanse of pine forest. But the road continues to kind of carve right through. And you can also see that Marks looks calmer now that he's in the forest. He doesn't seem to be looking over his shoulder as often, or kind of eyes darting left and right like he was in the marshes. In here, he seems a bit more relaxed. As you journey on, obviously, in addition to the ecosystem changing a little bit, the wildlife has shifted a bit too. You hear many, many more cries of birds. You see squirrels and chipmunks and things like that running around. At one point, a fox runs across the trail right in front of you, Air. And before long, the sun starts to dip low in the sky. You're headed almost due west, so the sun is setting into your eyes.
Okay.
And as it starts to get lower and lower, Marks calls out to all of you. Maybe another hour or so before we reach the spot I'd like to stop tonight. Keep your eyes peeled for a small standing stone to the right of the path. It's about as tall as these trees, so it can be easy to miss. But that's where we'll turn in. Anything any of you want to do or talk about as you continue to walk for the next hour?
Panda's
So
kind of
that was
thinking about
probably
it.
the craziest thing that I've ever. All of a sudden, I thought that one of the team got loose, and it turns out it was Pando all this time.
I mean, what did it feel like to be an ox?
Really warm.
Really warm?
Really warm. They're real fluffy and full of meat.
Full of meat.
So I would say like Panda's totally willing to like talk about anything, about her experience. But she's also kind of distracted just because she's like heavily immersed in nature right now, and it's a different kind of nature than she's been around. And it's almost like everything is talking to her, and so it's kind of like constant noise in her mind, even though like it might be a relatively quiet walk for all of us. So that's kind of what she's feeling as she's walking through the woods right now.
Nice.
So I imagine that Potom, because as there is, as you said, constant noise, Potom is just filled with questions about how that has even happened in the first place, and is oblivious to the nature.
Definitely.
I feel like Potom is like looking closely at like my arms and like any exposed skin to be like, how did that happen? Like wants to understand the mechanics behind it.
And air, like, I mean, I'm not one for just straight up killing stuff. But, I mean, you like straight up killed some stuff.
Man, Panda's like or not Panda. Potam's our like hype man here.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, normally I'd be kind of angry about it, but they did attack us. But, I mean, and also, holy crap, there was an eagle. Did anybody see that eagle?
But I like the idea that Potham just kind of thought he was hallucinating a lot of this.
Some bad cheese or something.
Yeah.
Well, because everything like he would. Potham was all like, maybe I'll make my exocomp cooler looking, and everybody else was like, I've got these other really great abilities that just came out.
I like to picture Potam's face when like Panda the ox came running past him.
Right? Just stampeding right past his shoulder.
Just completely confused as like, oh, get out. And then to like all of a sudden to count up the ox that were there and then turn and see you like laying there being hit by a minotaur and it's you instead of the ox. Yeah.
I like it. So as you kind of recount the adventure of the day, you eventually do catch sight, Air, of the standing stone that Mark's mentioned, and there is a smaller wagon trail that leads off the path just a little bit deeper into the woods. It doesn't go far, but maybe 5 or 6 minutes off the trail. Marks leads the wagon, and you find yourself at what is essentially a constructed campsite. It looks like wagon drivers probably use this fairly frequently. It's not fortified by any means, but it is. There's at least sort of like a picket fence that's been put up to create a little bit of definition for the campsite. There's some firewood that's been stacked up and prepared. There's a bit of a stack of rocks that provides a little bit of shelter from the wind, sort of a windbreak to one side. It's a very comfortable spot. You will undoubtedly still want to keep watch, but when you arrive, Marks points to the back of the wagon and looks at all of you, and he says, don't have anything fancy, but got a few tarps back here that we can lay down if you don't want to sleep on the ground. If the weather starts to get rough, we can tie them up in the tree and keep the rain off. I don't really like to get wet. Anyway, let's settle in, and I'll start making some soup. He kind of rolls a little travel cauldron out and sets about starting a fire, so you can kind of help pitch a camp. We are going to roll for an evening here. Who's gonna keep watch at what time?
Air will take the midnight shift.
Okay.
The middle shift.
I'll go after Air, so I'll rest first.
Okay.
I'll go first.
All right. So first watch for Potham, second watch for Air, third watch for Freya and Pando.
I can do fourth watch.
Well, there's only 3.
I can do.
Pando,
Well, really, there's only 2.
Oh, okay.
Because you're not on the ship anymore. You don't
True.
need to keep
We
a
don't need to keep
24-hour
rotating.
watch. You just need enough so that
Yeah.
I'll do-
Marks can get a good night's
I'll
sleep,
do second.
and you can head out. So if
Okay.
you want to set 2 watches, that's plenty.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to take on the first watch as well, to support the first watch.
All right, so Pando and Potham will be up on the first watch.
And Freya and Air.
Freya and Air will go next. So Pando and Potham, I'd like you both to roll a perception check, please.
working with my Steel Defender, do I get to roll at advantage?
Sure, yeah. If you want to put him on watch with you, I'll give you that.
Sweet. We rolled a 21.
Okay, excellent. So, especially after the events of the day, you all remain pretty alert, but the first watch passes uneventful. Pando, I do want you to roll, please, a d10.
Is that the one that looks like double die? Or this one?
Yeah, that
What's
one.
the double one?
That's a D100, so it's like for the tens and the ones slot, like each digit.
Gotcha. 8.
An 8. Okay, so there's a point in the night when you're getting close to the end of your watch shift where you sense out in the woods a ways a fairly large creature. You don't feel any sense of threat, and you can't tell what it is. It's a ways off, and it doesn't seem to be approaching.
Yeah.
That's it.
So Potom and I are the only ones on watch right now.
That's right.
How far of a ways off is it?
It's really hard for you to tell because this is the first time you've really had a sense like this.
Yeah.
You just know there's something out there, and you've got a bit of a connection of a vibe out there. You can sense the direction.
What is like a nature-y kind of vibe?
Potom?
Oh, we're at watch at different times, right?
Nope, you are on watch together.
Oh, okay.
There's something out there. I'm not sure what. I don't think it wants to hurt us in any way, but I think I need to go and find it. And I know we're on watch together. Would you feel comfortable right now if, just for a very short while, I walked out to try to find out what it was?
I trust you know what you're doing, but take the sending stone with you.
Perfect.
Just in case you get in trouble.
Perfect.
And we can come and find you.
Okay. I will do that. And I'm going to let Lily stay here and keep sleeping if that's okay.
I will take care of Lily.
Thank you. So then Pando makes her way toward the direction of where she senses there is a creature that wants to hang.
Make a nature check for me, please.
Kind of just going on a walkabout or something here.
Yeah, just a little late, a
quest.
little midnight
15.
walkabout. A 15. Okay. So you walk through the moonlight for probably about 15 minutes, deeper and deeper into the forest. Again, it's a weird thing that I'm describing because it's not like you're under a canopy of trees. These trees
Picture like this
reach,
little like model village that I'm walking.
it's very much like you're wandering through dense shrubbery
Sure.
in all directions, right? But at a certain point, you hear some sort of snuffling up ahead. And as you get a little bit closer, a large furry head lifts up over the trees and turns and looks at you. And you see two bright eyes reflecting in the moonlight as a huge brown bear just sort of observes you. And it doesn't make any crazy moves. It doesn't seem startled or intimidated by you, but it just sort of acknowledges you. And then, do you do anything in response?
I picture Panda just kind of smiling and standing there and watching it in its natural element.
Okay. So after a moment or two, it sort of goes back to doing its thing. Its head dips back down. And I think if you're interested, if you bend down and look beneath the sort of canopy, as it were, you would see that the bear is sort of digging at the roots of some of these trees. And what is being revealed is buried under some of the pine needle fluff that is built up around the roots of many of these trees. The bear is clearing some of that away and revealing these what look like puffball mushrooms, but these are glowing softly phosphorescent. So like a very gentle yellow glow is revealed once the bear pulls the pine needles away, and then it's scooping them up with a paw and just kind of snacking away on these puffballs. They're probably the size of a standard, like a regulation baseball.
So, Pando, never having been here before, but being educated back
Mm-hmm.
on the mainland and part of a noble home of sorts, right? Like, not like one of the tops by any means, but she probably has a decent education.
Mm-hmm.
Would she know what those are just from having read about them?
I'm going to ask you to make a second nature check
Okay.
here to see if you recognize this particular
18.
flora. Oh, yeah. Yes. So while you haven't seen these exactly, you know what these are. They're called different things because there's many different varietals, but these look to be something that is known to you as fairy balls or fairy puffs.
That's so cute.
And they are considered a delicacy at many noble dinner tables. Not only because they are delicious when prepared properly, but because they glow even after cooked, they can make for a really amazing presentation. So at fancy banquets, you might find like a soup or a stew made of these presented in a transparent glass bowl so that the glow can sort of, suffuse the table. You know that the closer to orange the color is, the more earthy the flavor tends to be. The more green in color, the closest to almost a citrus flavor they have. And so these being kind of a gentle yellow are probably somewhere in between. But they're quite nutritious, and you weren't sure where they were from. And so to find them here is kind of cool, and obviously this bear is really enjoying them.
Mm-hmm. Can Pando pluck some to take back with her?
Sure, yeah, you can dig around. Make an investigation check.
Okay. 11.
Okay. Yeah, you dig around the base of some of the trees that are nearby you, and I'll say you gather a small satchel up of these, probably 5 or 6 of these fairy balls. And at that point, the bear starts to walk off, and it actually just walks right past you, like almost within arm's reach.
Panda's just going to put out actually her arm, and as it walks by, just do one of these.
Sure, yeah, it accepts your petting as it kind of trundles off into the woods. That's got to be a good 700-pound brown bear that just kind of trundled off past you, having finished its snack. And with that, your satisfaction or your curiosity satisfied, you wander back with your snacks. And then are we ready to switch shifts?
Yeah, is it about that time?
Yeah.
Come on then. Take your rest, you you savage beast.
Point of clarification.
Yeah.
So these are going to be long rests for us. So we've
Yep.
been emerging from a long rest.
Right. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So the two of you
Now,
can
I'm
have
going-
taken your long
Potham and
rest,
I are
and Potham
both-
and Pando are going into a long rest.
But we shouldn't hit it yet until it's completed.
Yeah, because you never know.
No, you never know.
You just
You just
never
never
know.
You just never know.
I was sleeping. My husband's like, "Do you think
You're like, no, but Freya's been knocked out a lot of times, so like,
Yeah, she's used to it.
she's used to it. But one of these
we're
times,
total
man.
badasses now.
Right.
We're not gonna get it.
All right, Air and Freya, roll a perception check as you begin your
Perception.
watch.
Perceive this. Hey.
8 and 7. 8 and 7.
Great.
We were just talking about how cool that battle was where one of our companions turned into an ox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe you get a little distracted, caught up in chatting about all these
We're so
newfound
cool.
abilities, high-fiving each other over and over and over again.
That whole blur thing, that was badass. I could hardly see you. It was like I couldn't even focus. You were just...
Freya, don't you think it's weird that the exocomp is just staring at us?
Oh man. Well, lucky for you, with a nat 20 on the luck roll, the rest of the evening passes without incident. And in the morning, Marks, with your help, tidies up, and you all are able to journey again without incident the remainder of the way on your journey. And as you exit this sort of area of scrub forest, it shifts, the landscape shifts into just gently rolling fields far off into the distance. Beyond those fields, those with particularly keen eyesight can see on the horizon just the edge of what looks to be a mountain range. It's hard to make out from here, but from this distance, they must be really significant mountains for you to be able to see them from this far away. But mostly, you're staring at grassland in front of you with gently rolling hills. The road winds on and over those hills for a short time until you see, nestled in a valley between two of these hills, a small village. And at this at sight, Mark's ears perk up and he says, "Ah, Featherwand. It's good to be back. When we arrive, we'll head straight to the merchant, and you can collect your payment, as can I. There are a few decent places to stay here, but I've appreciated our time together. If you do end up needing a place to crash, I'll be making camp just on the edge of town. Feel free to come by if you're looking for some soup. Anyway, let's head in." As you make your way into the village, the first thing you notice about Featherwand is that unlike Chukib, though there are many tabaxi in Chukib, this is a tabaxi town. So while there are a few elves and half-elves walking about, you see one or two gnolls. Pretty much everyone you meet here is a tabaxi. And the diversity of tabaxi in this village is also surprising, because in Chukib you certainly saw tabaxi of different colors and types, but here in Chukib there is a wide array. You've got tabbies and Siamese and basically every kind of cat you can, calicos, yeah. Magical Mr. Mistopheles dances by. And everyone is singing. This is not a big town. The village of Featherwand is probably a third the size of Chukib. It's maybe the size of the Mercantile, but it seems to be a thriving town. So you don't see a lot of rich here, but people look well fed and well taken care of. There are smiles on people's faces as they walk around. This is not a walled village, but there are a few what look like sort of guardhouses, basically at the cardinal directions of the village on the outskirts, where you see a few tabaxi standing around with armed crossbows, kind of keeping their eye on the horizon. And these are also the 4 cardinal directions are the points where the crossroads of basically where roads enter the town. So it's simple, one crossroad kind of town. There's lots of other little paths and side streets and stuff. But 2 main roads cross through here, the trade roads. Of the 24 or so buildings here, the 3 largest buildings are a large general store, where in the back of which you will be pulling up your wagon to unload your goods. There is a very large inn, about the size of the Beached Kraken, but looking much more comfortable. And then there is one more building that is about the size of the general store, but which you don't know the purpose of until you visit it. So as you arrive in town and pull up to the back of the general store, the back of it is set up basically like loading docks, and there are 2 wagons already there. Marks pulls up and calls out to a tabaxi who's perched up there on the back. This one was sort of golden yellow fur and 1 white eye patch on their right eye, who hops down and says, there's the crabby cat himself. How was the journey, Marks? Rainy and miserable, I bet, huh? Wouldn't you just believe it? Do you know we got ambushed by goblins and a minotaur? A crazed one at that. Sure you did, old man. Just like every time. Anyway, what have you brought for us today? Mark sighs deeply and kind of nods for you to follow him inside. So you hop down off the wagon and come in the side door, where you are confronted with what's basically a clerk's table inside. There's a stack of gold coins and some pouches and a chest sitting to the side, and a big ledger, and a very bookish looking tabaxi sitting behind the counter with little pince-nez glasses on their fuzzy little nose, and they are scratching away with a quill in their ledger. And as you arrive, they look up and say, "Ah, Marks, a pleasure to see you again. I assume you are here with the delivery of dyes?" Mm-hmm. "Yes, on time, all here." "Well, we'll be the judge of that. My crew are checking over it as we speak. In the meantime, if you'd like to have a rest, I'll begin preparing your payment." "Very good." And Marks walks over and lounges very comfortably on a big stack of cushions that looks like they're basically there for the wagoners to kind of hang out when these things are happening. Grabs himself a saucer and some cream and just kind of curls up to relax. And the rest of you are kind of left standing there waiting as well. After just a few minutes, the sort of golden-colored tabaxi pokes his head inside and says, "It's all there, mistress. Looks good to go." She kind of pushes her glasses up a little bit higher on her nose and says, "Yes, well, of course, as expected. Very good, Marks. Your payment is ready." And when you approach the table again, she has a small pouch that she sets in front of Marks, and a larger pouch that clinks rather heavily as she sets it in front of you. She says, "I believe that should all be in order. We thank you for your service. These dyes will be very profitable, I expect." And then says, "You're welcome to count it if you wish, but I assure you, it's all there, 1,000 gold pieces in platinum."
I'll store this inside of my armor as we take it back.
Bottom will count it.
Potom will count it.
Okay,
Go ahead, Potom.
very good. All right, so Potom sits down and counts, and yes, indeed, it is exactly 1,000 gold pieces worth of platinum. so 100 platinum pieces, stacked neatly in a tight leather pouch, ready to go. After counting it, you can seal it back up with the ribbon, and the clerk presses the ribbon with a little bit of sealing wax and the seal of this store, and hands it back to you. Please pass on our compliments to Wade Wade Hanzo. We look forward to doing business again in the future. And if there's nothing else, you can make your way out of the loading area, please. Clear that wagon, Marks. We have more deliveries on the way.
Get out of here.
Freya just kind of slides the money into the side of her
It's not for us, right? Yeah.
No, it's not for us. We have to take it to Wade Wade.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's his money.
That's his money.
All right. And so with that, I think we're going to wrap our session here for today.
Okay.
So you are safe in the town of Featherwand. You've completed at least this part of your mission. What remains is to, when you're ready, return that payment to Wade Wade Hanzo, which will necessitate a return journey for you.
Do we already know like the schedule of that and I just forgot? Or is it up to us when we head back?
It's up to you all.
Okay.
You're
Reasonable.
looking for a big cart full of dung too.
Yeah,
that
I
we
don't.
can try
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
about
I mean,
that.
maybe this is the place to ask about it. Again.
Yes,
Yeah.
still on a dung
It
hunt.
is.
Still on the
Yeah.
dung hunt.
I mean, we
There's-
haven't even really explored, the town at all.
Yeah, I mean, when the next time we play, you can explore Featherwand a little bit. You had talked about this potentially being a place where Lily might settle down, and so there may be some investigation to do in that regard. And that and your dung hunt, and then kind of whatever you want as well, because I believe you were also looking to kill a little time to let the heat come down in Chakip, but that's up to you. Something maybe to chat about with each other on Discord, or think a little bit about. You're getting into an area now where things can get pretty sandboxy, by which I mean you could take things in a lot of directions here. I don't have preconceived notions of what you will do now that you've reached Featherwand. So chat about that just a little bit. Think about what you want to do next time we get together.
I just keep thinking Hogwarts whenever I hear Featherwand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is